Instagram.
Oh, Megan and Anna, turn your phones the other way.
Well, welcome everybody. We are here with Thriving Females. We are coming to you live on Instagram with some amazing and future famous athletes at Eastern Kentucky University. And we're also coming to you live here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it on over to Sarah and let you introduce our guest for today.
Hey, everybody. I'm glad you're joining us today. As you know, on Thriving Females, we like to interact with females of all ages. And I'm so excited. My niece is here, Bailey, and it's her birthday. So I need to do a shout out today. She is a beach volleyball player at EKU, and she is brought to visit in Florida two of her friends, Anna players. And I want all of them to say hi real quick.
Hello.
Hi.
I am going to go around, and I'm going to start with Bailey since it's her birthday. She's going to tell us a little bit of what she did in high school, where she lives, how she got to EKU, just a small snippet about what she's been doing. Go ahead, Bailey.
Well, I went to high school in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and I played indoor for about 3 years for high school and like 7 years for club. And then my last 2 years of high school, I just really fell in love with beach. So I put indoor aside and I became a beach-only player in Iowa, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but it definitely worked out for me because I met some amazing people at EKU and I started playing beach there, so it's really worked out for me.
All right, Anna, you're up next.
I'm Anna Purichia. I'm from Albany, Indiana. I went to Providence High School, if anybody's familiar with that. And I've played volleyball since I was 6. My mom was my club director at Union, so I've been around volleyball since birth. And I became familiar with EKU. I played with one of the girls that I played with at EKU for my club team, so that's kind of how I got exposed to the coaches, and obviously I've met some great people, and it's been really fun.
Okay, Megan.
I'm from near Indianapolis, Indiana. I went to Tri-West High School, and I started playing club when I was about 13. My sophomore year of high school, I think, Eastern Kentucky reached out to me, and I went on a visit and fell in love with it. So now we're all colonels.
And so what grades are we all in college? Let's start. Ready?
We're all freshmen, gonna be sophomores.
Yay.
Second year coming.
What?
I said big second year is coming.
Yes. Yeah. So let's talk about that. Let's the hardest thing coming in as a freshman, what was your guys' scariest moments? This has nothing to do with volleyball or anything. What was the scariest moment? We're gonna start with Bales.
The first day, I was trying to figure out where Wallace Building was, and I walked around the whole campus trying to get to my first class, and the scariest moment was I walked in and no one was there. So I missed my first class, but it's all right. I made it. It just took a second.
Anna, what about you?
Same thing. I was worried about figuring out which classes and like which buildings I was having class in, and I had class, or I thought I had class with one of my teammates, and we walked in and like sat down. I was like, okay, like I know somebody, it's okay. It was one of my business classes, so it was like kind of a big deal. And it turns out she was in the wrong classroom, and she gets up and leaves, and like 15 minutes in the class, and I was just like distraught. But definitely my scariest moment.
Megan, what was yours?
Anna and I got to campus early in towards the end of June. And so our first day, our parents drop us off on campus. We're like, we'll go on a walk around campus. And so we go on the walk about 10 minutes away from our dorm. It takes us probably 2 hours to find the dorm because we're wandering around the walk. But eventually we figured it out, and it was good since then.
Yeah.
How big is the school?
It's really not very
No,
big.
it's not.
Like it's just 2,000 students. A couple buildings.
I don't know how we managed to just walk in circles for 2 hours.
Which is how you found that classroom that first day.
Yes.
Now, as student athletes, did you guys have to get to school before everybody else did?
Yes.
Yes.
How-
Me and Anna got to school June 27th last year, and then we started school mid-August, sometime around then. So we had about a month and a half, 2 months of conditioning and training and just kind of getting to know the team.
Okay, so indoor and beach is totally different and stuff. So you guys play, your season is fall?
Yes.
Okay, so tell us what it's like, throwing indoor volleyball. Tell us the ins and outs, that everybody's dying to know what you guys do up there. So go ahead, but either one of you guys can tell us.
I'll go ahead.
Okay.
I mean, it's pretty much the same as beach volleyball and like the aspect of just bump set spike, but it's a little more technical. Obviously, you have more people. It's more of a team sport, I would say. I feel like obviously like a bigger court of players, but it has been challenging. It's a lot different conditioning wise. I feel like beach is more cardio, and we're more like jumping and all that kind of stuff. So it's a little different when you talk about like the effects on their body, but for the most part, it's pretty much the same.
Megan, do you think that you guys ever train with that beach volleyball girls? Do you guys have the same training regimen? Because I know all of you guys have said you go to the gym, you have lifting. Is it the same? You guys do the same workouts?
We run different programs. So like Anna said, like indoor is more about like explosive power. Like you want like a high vertical and you want it fast, change of direction, stuff like that. And then beach, I mean, I don't know exactly what the beach team does to train, but it's just a little bit different in terms of like we're both like lifting and doing cardio and doing practice, but the specific exercises are just a little different.
So Bailey, what does your training look like?
I would say it's like, it is different because it's in the sand. I mean, people go to the sand for a harder workout. So like indoor would come out in the beach to like, it's a little easier on your body because you're not jumping on the hardwood, but like, it's still difficult. You're walking through the sand, you're running through the sand, but like they said, it's not as much like jumping over and over. Like it's more like scrappy play and like shots instead of like getting that big kill every single time.
I just love the terminology.
Bump set spike, but close.
I like bump something and you're like, but all I'm thinking is just the beach volleyball release, like running through, like Baywatch.
Yes.
I mean, is there like some fun like competition between the two styles? I mean, just hearing what y'all are saying, like sometimes it's like, yeah, it's a hard one because we have to go higher. No, it's a hard one because we have to like not on hard surfaces.
I feel like they're definitely. I would be honest. Beach is a lot harder than indoor, in my opinion. But I think that it's funny just to see like in what aspects like Bailey is stronger than us in, and like just like her physique and like her mentality, I guess, when like playing a sport. But like compared to me and Megan, I don't know. I just think it's funny. It's kind of all across the board. It's not just like the three of us. So just like all across the board in those sports.
And
it's really cool to see like, oh, go ahead, Meg.
I was just going to say, I think that both teams have like enough of an understanding of the other sports that we all really like respect one another. And like no one thinks that, oh, like we're better athletes than that team. You know what I mean? Like it's not really like that.
I was going to say it's really cool to see just indoor girls transfer over to the beach and like they'll play both because like they just bring a completely different game to it. They're bigger blockers. They have a stronger block and like they'll hit harder. And like, that's not what we're used to sometimes. So it's just cool to play with girls that only play indoor because you didn't get to do that when you were training beach only.
So that brings up questions. You guys ever do pickup games, the indoor against the beach at college?
No, we're just so you're just so busy. So we don't really get to do stuff together.
Busy, that's a good word. We're totally going to switch now. And so what does that word busy mean?
I would say it's just a big balancing act of like school and volleyball practice. You have rehab for injuries, weightlifting, regular practice, setting up for practice, coming in extra for practice. And then of course you have class, homework, all of that. And then still trying to have a social life and meeting new people, doing things around campus, and also eating and sleeping. So it definitely is a little overwhelming at first, but once you kind of get your own schedule, it's not too bad.
I was going to say that the student athletes, that's people don't realize student athletes have a very full schedule. Not that regular students don't, but regular students go to their scheduled classes, but then you guys add practice on top of it and games on top of it. Anna, how do you think that you balanced that? And was there any struggles into getting that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that I am probably one of the most like type A people you'll ever meet. So like I need a schedule. I need to be told what to do and when to do it. Like that's just my kind of personality. So coming into college, like it's a whole different ball game, like just mentally and physically. So I think that's hard for anybody to adjust, but especially for me, just because I've, never had to deal with anything like this before. But I think that, like kind of what Megan said, it's a balancing act. Like you have to focus on like, there's no like, oh, I'll just put this off until later because you won't have time later. So it's really important to like stay motivated, stay like driven, I guess, to a goal because, it's going to, at the end of the day, like sports are fun and like, that's what got us to EKU, but like our degree is what we're working towards. So you have to kind of keep that in mind. And like, it's hard, but it's worth it.
So we had a question come in, which Anna, you just kind of mentioned a little bit. Any of you thinking about going pro?
No, I don't think so.
She's the one that said career for her major.
I think I'm just going to stick to the education case.
Going pro for volleyball I've heard it can be a great experience, but it's also, you have to go overseas. Like we don't have a national league in the US, so you have to go overseas and work with, it's just different kind of challenges. Like you're working with people who might not speak the same language at you, an area you're not familiar with. But I think all three of us are more kind of career driven. So I know like me personally, I'm excited to get my degree and go into the workforce. So I don't think I'll try to play pro.
That's how I feel too. I think it's a great like stepping stone, and you make so many connections playing the sport. So it's like it sets you up for life, and like you go through a lot of different things that would set you up. But I don't think that's what I want to do with my life. I think all of us have something bigger than just a sport, and this is just kind of like a stepping stone for us. Is like these 4 years.
We have this is like why we love live. Bales is I'm gonna move this a little bit so she can plug in. Her phone's dying. So this this doesn't surprise me with younger people. My kids say it all the time.
So we've talked about like what busy means. We've talked about like what is that? But let's
dive. Let's dive.
What does social life mean? Like what is that? Is there a social life?
I think that it's really hard for you to have quote unquote a social life when you're in season. I will say that's something that I struggled with. Like I didn't think I was meeting people. Like I thought I was kind of like stuck in like the same group of people, like just volleyball. But we were actually kind of surprised, like coming in second semester of college, like how much free time we had, like while we were still training, of course, and lifting and all those things. But we just got to meet so many new people and like make so many new connections. So I will say, like during season, it's probably not as ideal to go out and like meet new people and like socialize because you're always on the road or you're always playing. But definitely when you're not.
So that brings the busyness. Do you feel like, because you're on the road, I know that Bailey had mentioned that you guys kind of dorm together. Do you tend to only hang out with athletes? What do you think, Bales?
I think we definitely lean more towards hanging out with athletes just because they get it. They get that like you have to say no sometimes just because you need that nap after a hard day, or like you make plans ahead of time and you cancel because something comes up with a sporting event. They just understand in a different type of way. And like I always am like, I want to make friends outside of sports, but they just get it. And like you also care about sports. So it's like it's fun to get to know like the baseball team, and then you go and watch their games and then they come and support you. So it's just kind of like a win-win situation, I guess.
So do you think that the athletes, would you guys say the athletes tend to just kind of hang together just because of schedules and practices? You don't have as much free time as other students do all the time?
Yeah. I would also say that as athletes, we kind of all end up in the same place a lot of the time. Like you make friends with whoever you're around. So when you're in the gym and in the weight room all the time, those are the people that you're meeting and getting to know. So that definitely plays into it as well.
Oh my gosh, so y'all just ever be like, I don't want to be around y'all all the time.
Sometimes you do get in that mood.
I mean, I love you, but I really hate you right now.
Right.
Because
I would say from what you girls say all the time is that, I mean, you have practices with you train, you rehab together, you live in the same dorm area together. Do you guys have classes together? I mean, is it team all day long?
I personally don't. I'm a business major, so I don't have any classes with like Bailey or Megan. I have like the same classes as some of my teammates, but like we're just not in the same like room at the same time. So I mean, I don't really get lucky to like be able to see them, I guess. But
yeah, I don't have classes with anyone on the team either. I'm an occupational therapy major, so my major is pretty small at EKU, so that definitely is an opportunity to meet other people and not be around the same team members all the time.
Yeah.
Well, I don't really see anybody either. I think we all can relate. We got a good amount of like credit before we came into college, so we're ahead of most of the freshmen. So we kind of like didn't get all the same gen eds and like classes with them right away. But I'm a psychology major, so I have like a couple of athletes that I like have got to know, and that's nice because like they understand like the schedule part of it, but they also understand like the psychology and balancing it with school. So like it's just nice to have like a couple people on different teams that you can relate with.
So you did dual enrollment. Are you going to use your 4 years of athletic, or are you going to graduate early, or what you thinking?
I mean, I would like to graduate early if I can, because that's always the goal. But you want to get like all 4 years of playing. So it's
your
like,
eligibility.
it depends on what happens, I guess. It's going slow.
What about you and Megan? Do you guys have the possibility of graduating early? Would you take that early, or would you like to do all 4 years?
I'm on track to graduate in 3. So I'm planning on, for OT, you have to get a doctorate. So I'm planning on using my last year of eligibility to start my doctorate, and then I will stay 1 extra year outside my eligibility.
So does he even have an OT program?
Yes. So I will either get accepted or rejected in June, and then once I finish my bachelor's, if I stay at EKU, which I'm planning to, but there's a direct admit into the doctorate program, so I would just be able to finish my both my degrees.
Okay.
Cool.
And what about you?
I want to stay the whole 4 years. Yeah. I think that would be in my best interest, and I would get to spend more time with my friends, so that's important to me.
Did any of you redshirt this year, or were you all?
No, they all played.
Yes.
Gotcha. So a question came in on Instagram because we've been talking about social life and schedules and all of that stuff. Dating scene. Just lay those 2 words there.
Do you have time for the dating scene?
Oh, God.
The silence is like. I was told that no topics were to be left unturned.
Wait, Bailey's jumping on this one. Go ahead.
Well, there's athletes that date, but like we are just not those athletes that are dating, I guess. So I mean, normally athletes are dating athletes for the most part, I feel like. But like you can do it if you want. But like freshman year, I feel like it's just like getting a feel for it on your own before you go and like have to do it with someone else.
That's a really responsible answer. Auntie really likes that.
So we can ask Angela to leave and now have the real discussion.
Yeah. Actually, Megan said, and her mother just said, Bailey, Dad is listening. Megan said a good one. She said she said single, and she was working on it. So no rushing, because adulting is hard. We will tell you that. Enjoy your college years. So I'm going to go around. I'm going to start with Bailey. There is upcoming freshmen, as now you're going into your sophomore year. And when there's freshmen, we're going to stick with student athletes. When a freshman female comes in, Bailey, you'll start this off. What's the best advice that you can give a athlete coming in?
I guess the best advice I would have is don't be afraid to ask for help. And I know people have been saying that since you were small. Don't be afraid to ask for help with coloring. I mean, like literally everything. But it's bigger than that at this point, especially for student athletes. Like, just ask for help. And it's not easy. It's not easy to say I'm not okay. It's not easy to say, like, I'm not thriving. But, like, it's hard being a student athlete. Like Megan and Anna were explaining, like, you're running around all the time. Like, but then when you're playing your sport, running around all the time, like, you have to do school. And you have to sleep. And you have to eat. And you have to drink. And sometimes it's overwhelming. And like I've seen plenty of student athletes like experience it, and it's happening like worldwide, and it's not talked about enough. I mean, 5 Division I student athletes have committed suicide. Like it's happening, and it's not talked about, and it's really scary. But I think like with this, it's called Thriving Females, and we are thriving, and like a lot of people are thriving, but it's like it's also okay to not thrive. And like when you're not thriving, like ask for help. And at EKU, like there's a great service that has like free therapy and like free services like that. But it's like knowing about them. So like ask, just ask.
Bailey brings up a good question, or a big informational topic, is mental health amongst athletes, especially. Do you think, Bailey, Anna, Megan, you guys can answer this. Do you think that they're scared to talk about it, embarrassed to talk about it? What do you think, that if they're not getting help, is it because they're embarrassed, or do you think friends are being more open about it now? Like, hey, are you okay? What's wrong? What would you guys say?
I would say in athletics in general, there's a big pressure to be tough. Like you never want to, sorry, we have a cat here. But you never want to say like that you need help. Like you want to be strong, you want to do it on your own. There's just a big pressure to kind of, I don't know, to persevere, I guess. And a lot of athletes can get caught up in that. It's very easy to. You don't want to seem weak or like you can't handle something because like you don't want to get your spot taken by someone who like can handle it. You know what I mean? But then I think that kind of really makes it hard for people to reach out and ask for help when they do really need it. So I would say that does affect a lot of athletes when they get overwhelmed or have a lot of emotional stuff going on, stuff like that.
I think another issue is like you might not even realize what's going on. Like some people don't even know what the symptoms of depression are, or like when I'm sleeping all the time, when I don't feel like eating, when I don't ever want to get out of bed. Oh, I'm just tired from practice. Like, I'm just tired from a long week. But, like, if you're doing it over and over and over again, like, it might be to the point where it's not normal, And it's just, like, having, like, the opportunity to learn that stuff is something that I think, like, athletics in general could do a lot better at.
Do you think that, and I'm going to ask this, do you think students, if somebody said something, do you think more people are apt to help, or do you think more students are apt to judge? Where do you think there's that problem out there if people need help?
I think that athletes kind of have it a bit different than other people just because they kind of have they have the spotlight on them. And it doesn't matter how big or small the school is, like athletes kind of have this kind of limelight on them all the time. And they kind of like Megan said, they have this like goal to like perform all the time. So whether that be in their sport or whether that be, you know, just in life and in the classroom, whether that like whatever. But so I think that if someone comes to someone else and they're like struggling with something, whether that be physically or mentally, like they're gonna be like, they don't understand necessarily as much, but they also are quicker to judge because they don't understand it. And I think that can be hard for other people. I think that's another thing why we are so close to other athletes is because that mental aspect, like they get it and they understand that like it's not always going to be okay 100% of the time. And like it's easier to talk about it with them. But you know, if I go to like my grandma and talk to her about it, it's going to be a lot different answer if I go to talk to Megan or Bailey about it. So it really just depends on the person you talk to, what reaction you're going to get. But it's really hard sometimes just to find out who your people are and like who you can trust and who you can rely on to be that person for you. So I think that's another struggle coming into college, like finding those people.
And I would say, like, you look at Simone Biles, like, having to sit out of the Olympics. There are people who are going to understand, like, the severity of what she's going through and why she had to, like, take that big step. And then there are people who are going to say, she's so weak. I can't believe she gave up that opportunity. Like, are going to judge her for that. And obviously, it might be different in college athletics than an Olympian, but it's still just kind of, you can see both sides, I guess.
But that's so true, Megan. If they don't know the athletic pressure that's put on these athletes and what's behind the scene, I mean, us, you know, you're flipping through People magazine, you see that article about her, you're like, oh my gosh, you know, some people are like, she just threw that away. I can't believe that. But they don't know the behind the scenes, and probably more athletes can sympathize with her than the ones that aren't athletes.
Well, it's so individualized. I mean, you've got a whole team that is going through the same thing. Y'all have the same schedules, the same expectations, but the individual and the way that y'all are processing it is so unique that you can't place that same expectation sometimes on everybody. And so what could have worked for Simone may not have worked for the rest of her team that is going through those same things.
And I think that is a big part of it too. Like the identity piece of it is like my identity when I introduce myself is I'm a student athlete. Like sometimes that's all coaches, all people, all fans see is you're just an athlete, but like we're humans. We like have lives outside. And I think that's something too that's difficult is like understanding life outside of the sport. Like sometimes you get so lost in the sport that like you forget how to have a social life and like you forget how to do everyday things.
Or it becomes your identity. People only know you because, oh, Anna and Megan, they're the volleyball players, or Bailey's the beach volley, but you are a person. You do have another identity, but that's what happens sometimes.
It's one of my favorite things to work with the college students at my institution that are going to graduate. And, you know, the small percentage that go pro is so minuscule. And so then it's like, how do we talk about yourself? How do we sell yourself by not always saying I'm a student athlete here, but saying, no, I am Bailey and I'm getting ready to do this.
Right.
Oh, and I was a student athlete.
Not to have that. So let's go around, and we want people to thrive as student athletes. There's always going to be the good, the bad, and the ugly. There's always struggles. You have to overcome it. I know Anna was chatting with me about, we'll start with you this time, about struggling and balancing everything. How can you give advice to athletes, students, where you learned, where you ended up thriving as a freshman, and one little tidbit you can pass on that doesn't have anything to do with athleticism?
I think that I thrived the most in that aspect of, you know, college by looking at my teammates and seeing what they did. So I have a nursing major, I have a biomedical science major. So like people who are in the STEM, like, course, like it's insane the work that they have to do, and like I just always it messed with my mind about how they like handled all of that. So I think that one thing that helped me was seeing like, okay, they have this scheduled out like until this, and like how they studied and how they did their homework on trips and like all this kind of stuff. Like I am just like a sponge, like trying to absorb like my surroundings and that kind of aspect. And even just like with Megan, like I would see the way that Megan was studying for something. I'm like, oh, like I should be doing something now. So like, let me do it real quick. Like, you know what I mean? So just like when we're in the bus, like I just see Megan have her laptop out and I'm like, oh yeah, I should probably be doing something too. Like, you know what I mean? I know that sounds silly, but like it really does help. It really does. It like makes me realize that like in college you're go, go, go. So like if you have a moment of downtime, like it feels weird. So like you have to feel it with something, which is only beneficial to you. So obviously there are some, you know, there is some downtime, but for most parts, like you're go, go, go. So I think just like looking at what my teammates did and like how they have been successful in the classroom and on the court has really helped me. So if I like have any bit of advice to like organize or to be able to thrive in that kind of environment, it's just write your stuff down, have a plan, like always stay on top of your work, never get behind because it will just bite you in the butt. 100%. I can say with certainty that that's happened to me. So just stay on top of all of your work and just don't be afraid. Kind of like what Bailey said, like that is applicable to like all aspects of just your sport in college. Like don't be afraid to ask for help. It's not embarrassing because you know you're so it's important to ask for help and like ask for advice from other people. And like it's only going to benefit you.
Megan, I'm going to kind of switch that on the question. You and I talked about creating, or what was about friends in the community. You thrived on finding a good community of friends. You want to share that with them? I thought that was really good.
I think a big part of college, and this applies to everyone, whether you're playing a sport or not, but I know for me, I came from a really small town. So like I always had my family. I've had all these friends that I've known since elementary school. Like you kind of have a natural support system that you've grown up in. So then when you go to college and you don't know anybody, it's really important to put yourself out there and find good people and kind of create a support system away from home, I guess. I think that really helped me. Just anytime you're feeling overwhelmed or you just need to talk to somebody, or just even like the stress relief of just laughing with your friends talking about nothing. Like something like that seems so small, but that is really what gets you through the more difficult parts of your semester. So I think that was a really big part of how I thrived, I guess, throughout my freshman year.
All right, Miss Bailey, my sweet niece here. How did you thrive in college? What's some tips you can give?
I mean, I thrived for using like beach volleyball as an outlet. No matter like what was going on in my life, I could use it and like use my teammates. I mean, I had some of the coolest people on my team and just like use them to have fun, like laugh. And then like I met two of the most amazing people, Anna and Meg, and like lean on them, you know, like lean on your people. Like, and it's hard sometimes, like it's hard to like be vulnerable and be like, I'm struggling, but like that's what I would say. Like any advice I have in order to thrive is like reach out, meet people. I mean, like if you have the opportunity to meet an Anna and Meg, like literally jump for it. But like they're definitely one of a kind, but I would still say go for it.
So I think that's important what Bailey's saying. I think as females any age, you know, you can be almost 50 like me, you can be 80, but I think surrounding yourself, so you got girls agree that if you surround yourself with positive people that support you, that you never want anybody to be jealous of you. I always feel like if you have friends that lift you up and, you know, are your cheerleaders, those are the ones that get you through like college or, you know, times in life when you having a baby or getting married or have a job crisis. I think it's hard to tell girls that are younger that I always think that it's important to find people that lift you up, that say positive things, that are your cheerleaders and aren't jealous of you or say negative things. You always want to be the ones that bring you joy, as I always say. I like people that bring us joys. And as you get older, you learn to weed those people out. But I know you guys, Bailey, it's very important that she said, I have really good friends. And I think having good friends, you know, makes life easier.
So what would each of you say in just like one small phrase? What's your biggest success this past first year in college?
I would say for myself, I personally didn't play a lot in my sport this year. I had a lot of people in front of me, like a lot of great players in my position. But I think that the area that I found the most success was in school. So for my major, I have to apply and be accepted into a program. So I was really focused on getting good grades, having a good understanding of all my prerequisites, stuff like that. And I think it was a little like daunting coming in, but I think I did better than I thought I would. So I'm proud of myself for working hard in that area.
Make smart. Don't let her sleep.
She's very smart.
She's already doing like her doctorate basically.
Right.
Yeah, incredibly smart. I would say I was very blessed to have a very successful season as coming in as a freshman. So I would say just like all of the accolades that I was able to, I was blessed enough to be rewarded with is just definitely something that I would put up there as one of the top things that happened my freshman year. But also just like Bailey said, like meeting my people. I think that it's very hard to find people that you're going to keep in your life forever at this age, and it's few and far between when you find people like these. So it's really exciting knowing that I found these people so early in my life, and like we get to make all these memories together. And even if it's just like being able to take a bad time in our life and like sit on the ground, months down the road and just like eat ice cream and talk about it and just laugh, like that's the kind of stuff that it makes it all worth it. So I would say that's one of my biggest successes.
Which is there.
I would say staying like positive and like controlled with all the things that I had going on during the season. I had a couple injuries that kind of set me back and just other life things. So just like being able to stay like positive, I guess, and like keep going, I guess, is my biggest success, because sometimes it's just easy to shut down. And so like I'm proud of myself for keeping going. That doesn't make sense, but it works.
It does make
Let's
sense.
bring some pictures up on our other channels. I'm sorry, Instagram, you won't be able to see them, but these strong, amazing athletes.
There's
one
Bailey.
is Bailey.
See, in beach volleyball, you do wear warm clothes sometimes. And which one's this?
Meg.
There's Megan. God, you guys all look like you're flying like superheroes. See, look, y'all look like you're flying. You guys look like superheroes.
That's what we talked about. Like it's the hard floor where like you're jumping higher.
Right.
And then my personal favorite.
I love this picture because
on Instagram, we're sharing a fun picture of all three of them for what looks like an amazing night out.
and I love this because it does show that they still are enjoying each other outside of athleticism.
Right.
This was actually the night that Anna got nominated for Female Newcomer of the Year at EKU. So,
So you guys didn't celebrate it.
Yes,
exactly.
it was the award ceremony night.
I love that. Well, Tara, do we have any other questions?
No, I don't think so. I think we covered so many of them. I do want to make sure that I give y'all a shout out from one of our viewers who has been so amazing through many of our interviews, but this afternoon has just said, are the three of you truly first year students? Because these are such amazing words of wisdom that y'all are passing out. So please know that it is reaching people, and it will continue to reach people, and y'all are portraying such an amazing role model for thriving women, whether they're in college or not.
And one of the things that was so important, and Bailey already knew, and Anna, Megan, I'll share this, is Thriving Females. I'm trying so hard from the teens through your guys' age group and older, just to put, you don't have to be famous to thrive as a female. And I think everybody in life deserves a little bit of spotlight on them. So today I wanted to make sure we could spotlight all three of you for being amazing student athletes and females in general. I am very inspired by all of your words of wisdom. Very proud of my niece and her two friends for joining us today. But I hope you guys can stay positive and keep helping other people thrive. Have a good night.
So
Bye.
much. See you later.
Bye.